We just wrapped things up over here at the Port Royal Speedway for the Bob Weikert Memorial. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from a couple of drivers. We'll look forward to Lawrence, Burg and Butler. And Tony has a big announcement this week on the High Limit Room. We are live on location this week on the High Limit Room. Chase Rodman, Tony Laporta. We've got tech inspection going on behind us after what is the highest paying race in Pennsylvania sprint car racing history. As you can see, Aaron Reutzel back behind us. Tony Laporta, a history-making weekend. It was fun to be a part of it.
Aaron Reutzel, Anthony Macri, and Lance Dewease, the top three finishers, getting torn down right behind us. Always fun when you come to Port Royal, Chase, but the richest paying sprint car race in Pennsylvania state history, and it wasn't supposed to be. It was a bit of a hashtag surprise, as the kids say, because what was supposed to be $75,000 to win turned into $100,000 to win after the rainout on Friday night. So, I mean, when you keep up with high limit racing, you got to stay on your toes.
You certainly do, and you mentioned that it was a surprise $100,000, and it was also a surprise $20,000 on Saturday night, because when the Friday night got canceled, we upped the purse as well for Saturday, and it was two high rollers that were able to come out with victories. Brent Marks got the win on Saturday in relatively dominating fashion over Lance Dewease and Ryan Smith. That was an interesting podium, but a good win, a big win for that Murray Marks Racing 19.
Yeah, absolutely, but let's get one thing clear. We got to give credit where credit's due. Unfortunately, we can't give the credit too specifically because we don't know. An anonymous donor stepped up, a friend of the Weikert family, from what I've been told, saw things get canceled on Friday night and just was a fan of what the Weikerts do with this race every year and said, you know what, I want to make it that much bigger and that much better. So an anonymous donor, a citizen of the area, and a friend of the Weikerts stepped up and made the race what it was, which was historic, with the six-figure payout being the first time ever in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Brent Marks takes it to him after a lap 5 restart back on Saturday night, drives away from him. Lance Dewease on the podium in second. Ryan Smith, like you talked about in the Kreitz Racing 69K, he does a great job. Unfortunately, the next night, which we're wrapping up behind us right now, Ryan Smith's night goes up in smoke while running up towards the front, but a very different top end of the podium.
Yeah, it certainly was. And the one thing about Port Royal Speedway that I love so much is always the racetrack. They always seem to have it in perfect shape. And what's fun about this place is you get a guy like Lance Dewease, who is my father's age. If my father was in a sprint car, he would be driving like Lance Dewease, nice and slow around the bottom. He's not going to be like Anthony Macri, who is pounding the wall down, letting it all hang out. But it's weird because at this place, you can do both of those driving styles and have success.
He's my father's age. What a humble brag, Chase.
Yes.
Way to work that in there.
He might be older.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why we're getting into age discrimination.
I forgot how old my dad is, so I don't know.
That's sad, honestly.
I know his birthday, though. So
okay, well, then we'll do the math later when we take off our shoes and we have all of our fingers.
Yes.
Yeah, Lance Dewease, and then, you know, the sharp end of the podium, the change that I'm talking about, of course, is Aaron Reutzel getting $100,000. Lance Dewease, a fixture in both nights' podiums, second on night one, third here tonight as we wrap things up with $100,000 on the table. Always fun, but I think you're lying to the people, Chase, and you need to come clean right now. Your favorite thing about Port Royal is not the racetrack, it's the chocolate bananas.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Tyler Burnett, when he puts this video together, does not include the photo that you took of me actually eating one of those frozen. I actually had two on the week.
He will.
That is a new record low.
Exactly.
That's going to be my new profile pic, is me eating a chocolate-covered banana. I already can see the blowback on that one. So not looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But it was just a great weekend. I mean, you get so many people here in the grandstands at the Weikert. They are all excited. And the funny thing was, man, we had David Gravel show up. We had Logan Schuart, two of the guys that are the heavy hitters in the Outlaws, the top two in the points. Schuart comes in off a win at Attica. Gravel's got 8 wins. They are not able to upset High Limit, or they're not able to upset the PA Posse. Gravel comes home in the top 5, but really was not a factor in the win tonight.
I joked with Cody Jacobs when I saw him working on that Big Game Motorsports #2. I said, Cody, what are you doing here? Are you tired of winning all the time?
Yeah.
And he said, no, that never gets old. Of course, that's what Cody Jacobs would say. I liked what he told me. He said, yeah, the $100,000 and the money is nice, but he was really going after that Bull's Head trophy. Of course, that ended up going to Aaron Reutzel and Ridge & Sons Racing.
Now, it was great to see Schuart and Gravel here, but the other Outlaw guy that was here was Zach Hampton, and we are hoping that he is okay. You did catch up with him after the wreck, but I don't know if you saw the replay or not on the big screen.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the wildest looking wrecks. He's upside down, inverted, and goes straight into the wall. I mean, that's
inverted.
Inverted, not outverted.
Yeah, there you go.
Like my incline and decline that you were making fun of me of. But that was a crazy wreck, and you were down on the scene when you got out of the car.
Yeah, that car was destroyed. The down tubes on the right side, the down tube on the right side was completely bent in and cocked over to the left-hand side. That car got up into the wall. But, you made a good mention. They never think of that kind of stuff. Maybe they do when they're designing a racetrack, but just the foresight to have the walls as tall as they are around the outside, all the way around here, such a nice touch. And so good to check in with Zach, make sure he was okay. And, man, we're so grateful when those guys come and run with us because it just adds so much more to the show. But you hate to see it when a night ends like that for Zach Hampton the way that it did.
Yeah, and he was running in the top 10, was having a very, very solid run in that Bill Rose car. And, by the time you're watching this, they've already raced. But they got to go to Atomic tomorrow, and they got to put a whole car together. They got to drive all the way back over there. So a lot of work to do for Zach Hampton and a lot of driving to do for Gravel and Schuhart. But, we got tech going on behind us. It was a great weekend for Lance Dewease. Second and third, the guy has still got it. And luckily, on this week's edition of After the Checkers, Brian Walker was able to catch up with him and check in on how things went.
I got to ask you a broad question. You're only 6 away from tying Keith Kaufman for the all-time wins record at Port Royal. You already have it at Williams Grove. How motivated are you to catch Keith and catch that record?
I'm not a record guy. I don't worry about that. I'm just trying to worry about when. Now I'm worrying about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't matter what it pays. I'm worrying about tomorrow's race. And that's how I've always been. I don't get caught up in that. The only time I really had a goal on this type of stuff was Williams Grove, the 100. Because nobody ever hit that mark. And when I started getting in the 80s, that was a goal I wanted to try to get to. And we were fortunate enough to do that. And, Keith here, honestly, I thought it was 3 from him, but I don't know for sure. But I don't really pay attention that much. They say about how close, but I don't. It's one race at a time. And if I'm fortunate enough to race enough and I beat it, I beat it. He has a lot of wins here, and he didn't race here, probably the later half of his career a whole lot. Real late in his career he did a little bit, but, he was out the road for a while. And, but, there was years here he'd win 15, 17 races a year here. Back in the Weikert and Al Hamilton days, So, I always laugh because when Wolfgang won 50-some races that year, everybody talked about, I think Keith won 33. And he was a forgotten man, So it's just one of those deals. It'd be nice to beat it, but, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm not, I'm here to try to win races. We don't race as much as we used to, so it's a lot harder because I have less opportunity. Basically I have to win, 6 of the next, probably I might have 15 races left this year here. So that's a 50%. That's hard to do. So, but no, if we do it, we do. If not, no big deal to me.
You're on, I think, a list of about 25 or so drivers that won a race for Bob Weikert. Being his Memorial race this weekend, we said 1991 you won here in the Weikert 29. What was your experiences like with Bob Weikert as a car owner in the sport?
Bob Weikert is one of a kind. It was a love-hate with him for people. He liked to run his mouth in Victory Lane, and he tended to back you up some too. But he put people in the grandstands, and Danny's a little like him. And that's I think why they get along with the family and all. I see a lot of Bob and Danny because Danny will. Social media now instead of, back then. But, sometimes Danny gets on social media just to get people wound up. And that was Bob Weikert on the microphone. They'd be booing me. He'd tell you, you wait until we got one of the faster yet sitting in the shop. He was one of a kind. We were very fortunate, especially when I started, the amount of good owners we had. They built.
Especially just in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, with Al Hamilton, Bob Weikert, Walter Dyer, Joe Hars, and all these other good owners that just wanted to run and win and be up front. And they were all great guys. I was fortunate enough to drive for most of them, and they were just all great people. And it's just that's what built this area into where we're considered the toughest local competition around. And and we are. There's no doubt about it, and we are, and we take pride in that. And I think that's one thing about our area. I'm old. I have a year or two left in me probably. I'll be 60 in October. I still feel good when I get. This is some of the best I feel getting out of the race car this year I've ever have. But Anthony's young.
Yeah.
He's a
25.
shitload of talent. Justin Whittle's really improving. Danny's kind of the older guy a little bit, but he's still got years left in it. I mean, our area is actually looking really good still, as long as we can keep owners and being competitive, and we all take pride in it. So that's what we're here for.
Such an incredible weekend for Lance Dewease as he is about to pull out of our tech inspection area here at the High Limit Command Center. But the crazy thing is, and Earl Hoon was up in the booth with me along with Brad Strasser, and I brought up the point that Lance Dewease has 123 Port Royal wins, none against the National Tour. He's been running against the Outlaws here since '87, and of course against High Limit since last year. It's crazy to have 123 wins and none against the National Tour.
I heard Lance Dewease fans loved that you brought up that stat,
sure.
by the way. They were holding their Chase Rodman fatheads in the grandstands.
Or they were wearing our
you.
shirt.
Yeah, I think they were wearing
our
our
shirt. Now, you need to clip that into the High Limit room, the new Tony and Chase shirt, because they are selling like hotcakes.
You said it was a surprise my head even fit on the shirt.
It is true, yes.
So we don't need to clip that. But we understand that Brian Walker caught up with some other folks in the pit area.
He did. He did catch up with Aaron Reutzel, the winner of the $100,000 to win Bob Weikert Memorial.
After the checkers, Bob Weikert Memorial, Port Royal Speedway, this guy just won $100,000. Richest win of your life, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, by far. The wing dance, that's the first thing I want to talk about. Your emotion in victory lane. You climb out of the car. I can't hear you. I'm making too much effing money. What was the energy like, right, when you cross the checkered flag and climb out?
As a little Johnny Manziel action. I don't know, just something I thought of from the scales to the victory lane. I figured I'm going to get booed, so yeah, I did the Johnny Manziel. So I don't know, just having fun with it. I knew I was going to get booed big, so I guess show them I didn't care. I made $100,000. You know, like I said at Knoxville that time, I love them effing boos because that means I'm up here making money.
That's great. Lap or after the open red, I guess you jump out to the early lead there. We come back from the open red. I guess first off, did you guys make any changes with the car there when we had that stoppage?
No, I was so good early with fuel load and air pressure down that I left it all alone. I screwed up. I left the wing all the way back, and when I took off, I kind of got tight, and Macri was still there, so I couldn't drive in the side of him. So I lifted a little, thinking maybe I could keep going, and then he passed me, and I moved the wing back forward, and all was good. I was just thinking that it was time to start moving down or something, and then here he comes, and luckily I squeezed right back by, and my car was good enough to where, when I went to the bottom and kind of took his line, luckily when I got to traffic, I could still go a lane or two out and drive by people, and my car was so good, and just fortunate that we made all the right changes. Honestly, I hate to say it, but thank God Utica Rome rained out, because I came and ran a test session and kind of got to see what I did last year really didn't work, and got to tried some stuff yesterday, and it just fine-tuned it a little today, and it all worked out. And $100,000, it's freaking cool.
What was going on in your mind when that last caution comes out? We got 5 to go. Macri's starting right behind you. You really pretty much know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind?
I was pretty upset. I mean, I felt like I don't know if I had any lap cars in between us, or I felt like I made it through so many lap cars so quick that I was probably in a good spot. And, he knows I'm going to the bottom. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I know Macri's going to the top, 100,000 to win. He's not racing for points. He's sending it on the fence. I'm guessing he did. I don't know. Yeah. And so I knew if I could just make a good corner, try to keep it wide where he, had to enter on a little bit of dirty air, I might be all right. And I felt like I heard him down the back stretch, and I made it through 3 and 4 really good, and then I didn't really hear him again. So, yeah, that was a stressful 2 laps because I know what I would have done, and I know what he's capable of, and I knew where he was going.
I want to talk about your guys real quick. You mentioned it in victory lane too. The whole place is booing you, whatever, but you got a group of guys behind you who are going to stick behind you no matter what. Brian and Lisa Ridge back in Iowa, and everyone you have out here on the road. What has it been like building this team with them to the level it is?
It's so satisfying. I've kind of been through this scenario before with some other teams, and I really wasn't, I don't know really the words to say, but this is the most satisfying it's been for me to work and run a race team to where, they do give me free rein, and just the way that they treat us all. And, you know, not just like peasants, like I've had with some other owners, and you know, it's so satisfying because we do put a lot in, and they put a lot in, and it's great that all this hard work's coming together. And you know, this is Brian's dream, because I didn't want to go on the road again, honestly, hands down, I'll say it. I didn't want to go on the road, but this is Brian's dream to have an on-the-road car, successful. And, you know, Brian and Lisa helped me, you know, get the love for the sport again. And then watching Corey on the road last year, I loved everything High Limit had going. So I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. And, you know, it's been a long time coming. It's not like it was in 18 and 19 where you could buy new motors and have them in a couple weeks. And so, you know, when we decided that we were going to do this, you know, we had 4 or 5 engines. And, you know, we got 2 riders on order right now, and we're not going to see them until this time next year. So it's crazy. So it was a long time building. We're finally in a really, really great spot. Things are coming together. You know, and they put all the right people in place between Bart and Brogan and Dimmer and Dean, and it's satisfying because there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and I couldn't be more proud, and I couldn't be more happy for Brian and Lisa, because they really do deserve this.
What are you going to do with the bullhead?
Well, luckily I get one, because Brian doesn't give up trophies very easily. So it's going in my house for sure. I keep special trophies like the Knoxville Nationals, the 360 Nationals, the 360 Nationals, the Tusky, the Classic in Australia. I really just keep special trophies. So this is a special one.
So that was Aaron Reutzel. He got the big win, the highest paying sprint car win of all time in Central PA, and probably the biggest win, without a doubt, the biggest win of Aaron Reutzel's career, $100,000. It was so fun. I couldn't stop laughing at what he did when he got on the top of the wing and was yelling at the crowd, the money, you know, call me with my money and all that stuff. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron's always great in victory lane, and I tried to talk about it a little bit before he came away from his crew for the live interview, but it feels so like, you know, like it was supposed to happen this way, because when he won that prelim night with us here back at the Tuscarora last fall, it just was like, man, this guy's ready to go back on a national tour. That team is ready to go back on a national tour, and so for it to come, I don't want to say full circle, because it's not like it's over by any means, but for it to kind of make a lap back here at Port Royal in the spring, it was perfect. And I don't care what people say. Aaron Reutzel's a great guy. He's fun to talk to. He's a hell of a race car driver, and I think people who don't like him just don't know him yet really well.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Get to know him a little bit better.
It's all about relatability, Chase.
It is, and that's why everybody likes Tony so much. He's so relatable. I mean, look at him. I mean, how can you not relate to this?
I mean, we can't all have male model bodies like you. People can relate to me. I look normal.
Well, now, not right now, because I do have like 3 layers on. It's cold out here. Right now, it is like 50 degrees, but Tony is so buff and strong, it doesn't even matter. I mean, look at him. No goosebumps or nothing.
Which way's the weight room?
It's that way. Now, we also wanted to talk about what is coming up this upcoming week. On Friday night, we'll be at Lawrenceburg Speedway in Indiana, and then one night later, we'll make our way over to Michigan for the Butler Motor Speedway. Lawrenceburg on Friday, it's the Driven to Save Lives battle at the Burg, and a battle is what it's going to be, Tony.
Yeah, it absolutely is, Chase, but you're throwing around this "we" term awful loose.
Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
That's Tony's big announcement is coming here in just a few moments. I know that's what you're all waiting for.
It's Chase's announcement.
I guess. It kind of is my announcement.
It's like an early retirement announcement.
It kind of is. Now, we don't want to spoil the party yet, but Lawrenceburg, one of the best wing sprint car tracks in the country. So excited to see what happens there. Kyle Larson's going to be in the field, and that place, it doesn't matter what race is on it. You could race around on it, and it would be a good race.
Well,
two
Chase,
of you.
I was going to say, Chase, to have a race, there needs to be more than just one. You and I could
how
race
about
around
your
it.
2 feet racing against each other?
Yeah, that's something. It's going to be the Driven to Save Lives battle at the Burg. When Driven to Save Lives was with us at Kokomo, it was a smashing success. It went really, really well. That was a lot of fun. And that's Friday night, because Saturday we go all the way north up to southern Michigan for the Mace Thomas Classic at Butler. And that was another race last year that just really seemed to stand out when we looked back on memorable events in High Limit's first national tour.
Well, it was voted on by the fans as the most... What was it, the most popular or the most exciting race of the year last year?
It was the most
the number one. It was the number one race voted on by the fans last year of their favorite race of the year. So 2 really exciting venues coming up this week. Friday at Lawrenceburg and Saturday at Butler. Now, what you've all been waiting for, it is Tony's big announcement. Tony, take it away.
Chase is tired of us. He's leaving. and he doesn't want to be a part of us anymore. He says, I smell in the car.
Yep.
And so he's leaving. And unfortunately for the listening audience, because of you leaving, I have to fill in for you.
You do, yes. So basically, I will not be there on Friday at Lawrenceburg and Saturday at Butler. My sister is getting married.
Your lovely sister is getting married.
My lovely sister is getting married, and I wanted to tell her I'd make it to the next one, but I think I really do think that this one's going to last. So I need to be there for sure. I have a speech and everything planned. It's going to be a big deal. If I would have told her I was going to the next one, it would not have went well. So Tony is going to step in.
That's my joke, by the way. I'll be at the next one. That's my joke.
I don't think so. But Tony will be the announcer for Lawrenceburg and for Butler. We're still looking for a pit reporter, so put your, in the comment sections on YouTube and whatnot, put in your resumes. We're still looking for one. Tony, at this point in time, is planning on running down and running back up to do all the heat race interviews and everything. It is going to be cannot-miss television, and we already know how much you run out of breath.
I will be quite out of breath. There will be a heart attack and a stroke counter on the screen. But in all seriousness, it's a great opportunity. I'm grateful for it. In all seriousness, it's tough that it comes because of you having to skip out for 2 nights, but at least it's for a good reason. There's Brad Sweet. Somehow, I don't know. I wanted to say he approved it, but I don't know if he even knows about it yet, that you're taking the 2 nights off and I'm in the booth.
Yeah.
If he finds out, he might put the kibosh on the whole thing.
The kibosh or the kebab?
The kibosh. I know.
I want a kebab right now.
You look like a kebab most of the time.
Thank you very much. I think that's good.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I hope you have a great time back in California. And please give your sister my warmest regards.
Yes.
And congratulations on her wedding.
Yes.
And
you were invited, but you couldn't. Only one of us can leave.
I like my job.
I know.
Sorry about that.
I know you do. Yes.
But it'll be fun.
Yes, it will certainly be fun, and then I'll be back for the midweek series events in Wisconsin at 141 and Red Cedar. So that is this week's edition of the High Limit Room. On location, a little bit different from what you're used to seeing, but we hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back next Monday, actually make that next Tuesday, for another edition of the High Limit Room.